OK, I've got a few points to make. I want to start with the marches.
Yep.
I think they should be banned now. Marches are supposed to be peaceful. These are not peaceful. They're not lawful. They're all holding hatred banners. Not all, but a lot of people are holding
quite a few of them, yeah.
Now, we don't know what these banners are actually saying because they're all in Arabic writing. I don't think they should be allowed to carry these banners that have hatred messages in a foreign language in London. I don't think it's right. I think that anyone carrying a banner with hatred or with foreign writing, which is probably hatred, should be taken away and taken down. Regarding the police, if I went up to a policeman and poked him and shouted at him, he'd remove me straight away. I would not be allowed to be rude or disrespectful to the police, but the pro-Palestinian people, supporters, they can. I don't think that's right. Seems to me anyone who is not a pro-Palestinian supporter is called racist. This is not a racist country. We know it's not a racist country because there are many, many people from other countries that are living here peacefully.
Well, listen,
this is supported by the Mayor of London and the leader of Scotland, among many other people. Anyone who doesn't agree with them, we're called racist. All of a sudden, Jewish people are called racist, white normal people are called racist. I don't understand.
Well, it is an easy cry, Sharon, that a lot of people have made it, and I received a lot of that yesterday just because of the programme we held where people had strong views, but there were there wasn't a racist view that was coming over. It was people with strong views, and many people will shout racist to shut down an argument. However, there are also racist things that go on and are said, and they need to be dealt with. But look, marches, I just want to put it to you. If we ban marches, can you imagine what it would be like with had Diane Abbott become Home Secretary and she started banning marches that actually we wanted to be on? I don't think that's a good idea.
I'm not saying ban marches. I'm saying ban marches with hate-filled...
Well, they're illegal already. That's the thing, Sharon, and the police need to step in.
I can't go around saying nasty, hateful things about people in my community or in the country because I'd be arrested for causing hatred and trouble. I don't get that hundreds and thousands of people are on TV. I just don't get that we're allowing this to happen. Surely after 5 weeks...
Well, that's the point. Sorry, Sharon, just because I want to take another call as well. But basically, that is the point that you are saying, is I would point out to you, it is illegal to actually... what many of these posters did, support a prescribed terrorist group and the actions of Hamas. And why are they not arrested is exactly the point. The police will tell you they're going to follow up afterwards, having examined the digital evidence. Well, the problem is we don't always find out about that. But listen, Sharon, thank you for kicking us off. Sarah in London. Hello, Sarah.
Hi, Nick.
Hello.
Hi, good afternoon, Alda. Nick, I'm just wondering, with all these marches full of hate, why are they being allowed to wear face coverings? Why are they...
I think it's a really good question, actually. So, look, do you know, Alex, I'm going to throw that over to you because there is an element, you can see it, where those who are abusing it, who are carrying posters, are also wearing a face covering, and that will make them difficult to identify, won't it?
Yes, it will. And I don't know about the specific incidences where people have been wearing face masks and why they have worn them. But I use the analogy, again, of a football match. If a group of supporters turn up wearing face coverings to a match, they will be rightly asked to remove them, particularly if the police judge them to be at risk of committing offences. They will be asked to be removed for the purposes of identification.
I can help you out here because it's coming back to me. Sarah, I'm pretty sure, and I'm happy to be corrected on this, that actually the police were instructed that if someone they thought was carrying out an offence would have the right and should be encouraged to ask someone to remove a face mask as well.
Absolutely, but yet it wasn't carried out, not on the right and not for the pro-Palestinian marches, and I just think that is disgusting. They should be allowed to protest. We all live in a democracy, but they shouldn't be covering their faces.
Now, Sarah, I don't know if this is you as well, because there's a tweet from a Sarah in London, a message to me. It says, Nick, if it's illegal already, why haven't the marches just been banned? Was that actually you as well? Because I'll answer that as well.
No, because I don't tweet.
Oh, well, there you go. So let's go to Paul in Stockport. Hello, Paul.
Hi, hello, Nick. Good morning.
Good morning. Good afternoon to you, Paul.
Yeah, I just wanted to have a chat about the previous item regarding the police doing their job.
Yeah, we're talking about that all day, so far away.
Yeah. So, obviously, I don't think they're doing the job at all. As regards to the protest yesterday, I mean, the far right would have turned up anyway. It was just such an opportunity not to miss, let's face it. But say the day after that they've got some images of people who are doing the wrong thing, etc.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. I mean, they're always moaning that they haven't got enough resources, and now they've taken some images. There must have been hundreds or thousands of people chanting these things and postering and stuff like that. People in marches tend to follow what the one in front is saying and stuff like that. So how the hell are they going to find all these people? They'll find one or two and everything will be swept under the carpet.
I'm not normally as cynical as that, but I don't have much faith that there's going to be many prosecutions, and I think that's where the public kind of lose faith. I genuinely don't think there will be that many. Alex? Let me just bring Alex in on this, Paul, and give him a word. Have you got faith, in a word, that there will be substantive prosecutions following some of the dreadful things that were sung, chanted and carried yesterday?
Judging by what we've seen and the evidence we've seen before our eyes, do I think that meets the legal test? Personally, I think it does. Okay, but that we've got to go through the proper process for that. Yeah,
but do you think we will actually have people arrested? Have many people arrested?
That's a different question, right? I thought that one of the main job of the police was if they see a crime in progress, and that is a hate crime by the definition, reasonably, right? That carrying the placard is a hate crime in progress.
So they should investigate, at least arrest them and speak to them. Whether they prosecute or not is not for us to say. Paul, you said hundreds of thousands and thousands were doing it. I mean, I genuinely do not know how many people were chanting or whatever. Do you think, however, it was underplayed yesterday? It was all about the far right, as it was described?
Yeah, I do in a way, yeah. I mean, the end of the day, as I just previously said, the far right didn't need Suella Braverman to invite them there. They would have gone anyway. It's an opportunity when things like that happen, not to miss. Now, I do feel, unfortunately, that I think that she will get the sack. I don't want her to get the sack. I thought she was right in what she said. But on the other hand, I didn't agree with her saying about, lifestyle, living on the street. Yeah. But at the end of the day, nobody in life starts life thinking one day I'm going to end up living on the street. It's just not the way it is.
They say you can be just 3 events away from living on the streets. Let's go to Mohammed in Luton. Mohammed, hello.
Hello there.
Hi, what would you like to say?
Okay, basically I just wanted to know why you think an immediate ceasefire is not a good idea in Gaza.
Well, first of all, I think the question that I would say, and I agree with the author there, is release the hostages. Why on earth would I want to have a ceasefire when buried underneath the ground are over 200 hostages that were kidnapped in the most horrific hostile conditions and is frankly illegal?
Yes, but would that be saving any lives? If they continue the bombing, more lives are being lost. Surely it should be a point where we need to reduce the amount of civilian casualties. That should be the main aim. And I think the Israelis have also said that as well.
Well, we could start, Mohammed, with saving the lives of the hostages and from the conditions that they're in, which we frankly know nothing about. That's part of the challenge there.
But what you don't fail to mention there is there are more than, I'm going by figures I've been told, about 11,000 prisoners or so-called prisoners, many of them...
Yes, but Hamid, that's a fair point for you to raise that, but I point out to you they weren't kidnapped, they weren't civilians kidnapped under the most horrific conditions, were they?
You don't know that. You're assuming that.
Well, they've been held on suspicion for charges. It's completely different. There's honestly, there's no comparison to that.
there is a complete...
All right, OK. Well, we move on. We'll just row about that, and I don't want to row with you, Mohammed.
OK, let's say the ceasefire. I think the options here should be, because there is a lack of trust from both sides, from Hamas and from Israel. What should really happen is you should put an international force in there through the UN. Once they are in there, what should really be happening is you should be documenting all international violations of law by the Israelis and Hamas. Now, that is the first thing they should be doing, and I think that would calm the situation down. But it's not going to happen, because Israel will not allow it. Do you agree with that?
Well, I have no idea whether Israel would allow it or not. To your general point... to your general point, I cannot conceive, particularly if this was happening in our country, of a situation where, first of all, the ceasefire was called without the release of the hostages. I mean, that's just a given, but I've belaboured that point, so I won't say that again. But also where it left in place an organisation and effectively a power that could attack Israel again, because the state of Israel utterly failed to protect its own citizens. That is their first duty, and to leave Hamas in place is just a dereliction of their duty. So that's why I don't think this would work. I think the ceasefire is at risk of exploitation. Yep.
I think you misunderstood. I didn't say leave Hamas in power. I said you put an international force in there who looks after the security situation. The governing body should be the PLO or the Palestinian Authority, along with other people who would govern it. But the security situation would be immediately resolved, because that would stop Hamas from bombing and Israel from bombing.
Matthew's called us. Matthew, you're very welcome to launch the show. Hello.
Hi, good afternoon. I don't really expect anything from the police anymore, and I'm sure I speak for most of the country. The police are a symptom of 20 years of a spineless Conservative and Labour governments that are totally out of touch with people, and basically they tiptoe around ethnic minorities, and basically they scapegoat British people when it suits them, as they proved yesterday at the marches. Braverman was right. Everything she said was correct. Everything she said came to pass. This government is a disgrace. I voted for it. I'll never vote Conservative again.
But she is part of the Conservatives, Matthew.
Yeah, she's part of this. She's
Home Secretary. She's probably the second or third most powerful person in the country. Are you not, if you like, pleased with the fact that she said something that you agree with? And you know, we should be very clear about what she said. She said there's a perception of bias in the police.
Basically, she's one of a handful of people in the Conservative Party that actually say what people think. Probably
not everyone. To be fair, Matthew, not everyone will agree with you, but a large group of people do. I agree with that. I have to make that distinction, because not everyone does think that.
Out of 360 MPs, I'd say over 300 of them are absolute cowards who just look after themselves. You've got Lee Anderson, probably Jonathan Gullis, Suella Braverman, John Hayes, and a couple of other elder statesmen. The rest of them, they don't ever do anything.
Are they to blame for the police? The police, because you will hear time and time again this weekend, the police, the politicians do not direct the police in operations.
13 years...
Sorry, the politicians don't direct them, yes.
Yeah, 13 years of Conservative Home Secretaries. We have more ethnic minorities committing crimes than ever before.
Do we? I mean, I question those statistics, because actually, if you look at whether it's knife crime or you look at burglary, I don't think it's a question. It's not an ethnic question. It's the police should be doing their job. There will be more white people committing crime, I suspect.
Of course there will, because there's more white people in the country.
But it shouldn't be about race, surely. It should be about why are they not tackling the issues that matter to Matthew? The fact you can't get a policeman to come and see you.
No. Braverman is popular because she's pointing out the racial element.
Well, she's talking out bias, isn't she? A left-wing bias to the police, isn't she, when it comes to demonstrations? That's what she was specifically talking about.
She's talking about the police tiptoeing around Muslims and wading into white people.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that in that letter, but we will. You know, we've got a copy of the letter here, and I know my guest is keen to talk about that, Matthew. I get your point. You're thoroughly disappointed from the police, but can you just answer the question? What do you want from them?
We want a government that directs the police in the right direction. That won't come from Labour. It'll get even worse with Labour, and everyone in Britain with a brain knows that. As for the statistics, most people arrested in Britain proportionately are either black, Asian, Pakistani, or Bangladeshi.
Well, I'm not going to accept that at face value. I'm going to have those. I'm going to draw out some statistics. I think it is wrong. What I can tell you,
it's not wrong.
Well, okay, no, listen, we can't settle that unless we both now go and produce loads of statistics. But actually, right at the back of my mind, I'm pretty convinced that you are drawing a line that cannot be matched as widely as you have put it. OK, so we'll leave it there. Matthew's called us. Matthew, you're very welcome to launch the show. Hello.
Hi, good afternoon. I don't really expect anything from the police anymore, and I'm sure I speak for most of the country. The police are a symptom of 20 years of a spineless Conservative and Labour governments that are totally out of touch with people. And basically they tiptoe around ethnic minorities and basically they scapegoat British people when it suits them, as they proved yesterday at the marches. Braverman was right. Everything she said was correct. Everything she said came to pass. This government is a disgrace. I voted for it. I'll never vote Conservative again.
But she is part of the Conservatives, Matthew.
Yeah, she's part of this. She's
Home Secretary. She's probably the second or third most powerful person in the country. Are you not, if you like, pleased with the fact that she said something that you agree with? And you know, we should be very clear about what she said. She said there's a perception of bias in the police.
Basically, she's one of a handful of people in the Conservative Party that actually say what people think. Probably
not everyone. To be fair, Matthew, not everyone will agree with you, but a large group of people do. I agree with that. I have to make that distinction because not everyone does think that.
Out of 360 MPs, I'd say over 300 of them are absolute cowards who just look after themselves. You've got Lee Anderson, probably Jonathan Gullis, Suella Braverman, John Hayes, and a couple of other elder statesmen. The rest of them, they don't ever do anything.
Are they to blame for the police? The police, because you will hear time and time again this weekend, the police, the politicians do not direct the police in operations.
13 years...
Sorry, the politicians don't direct them, yes.
Yeah, 13 years of Conservative Home Secretaries. We have more ethnic minorities committing crimes than ever before.
Do we? I mean, I question those statistics because actually, if you look at whether it's knife crime or you look at burglary, I don't think it's a question. It's not an ethnic question. It's the police should be doing their job. There will be more white people committing crime, I suspect.
Of course there will, because there's more white people in the country.
But it shouldn't be about race, surely. It should be about why are they not tackling the issues that matter to Matthew? The fact you can't get a policeman to come and see you.
No. Braverman is popular because she's pointing out the racial element.
Well, she's talking out bias, isn't she? A left-wing bias to the police, isn't she, when it comes to demonstrations? That's what she was specifically talking about.
She's talking about the police tiptoeing around Muslims and wading into white people.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that in that letter. But we will. You know, we've got a copy of the letter here, and I know my guest is keen to talk about that, Matthew. I get your point. You're thoroughly disappointed from the police, but can you just answer the question? What do you want from them?
we want a government that directs the police in the right direction. That won't come from Labour. It'll get even worse with Labour, and everyone in Britain with a brain knows that. As for the statistics, most people arrested in Britain proportionately are either black, Asian, Pakistani, or Bangladeshi.
Well, I'm not going to accept that at face value. I'm going to have those. I'm going to draw out some statistics. I think it is wrong. What I can tell you,
it's not wrong.
Well, okay, no, listen, we can't settle that unless we both now go and produce loads of statistics. But actually, right at the back of my mind, I'm pretty convinced that you are drawing a line that cannot be matched as widely as you have put it. In Cambridge, hello, Martin.
Hello, Nick. Yeah, interesting debate this afternoon.
Isn't it? It always is.
It always is, indeed. You had a Labour guy on earlier.
Yes, Peter... Oh, someone's going to remind me.
Yeah, the left are tying themselves in knots on 3 issues. Transgender, they don't know what a woman is.
Yep.
Second one is obviously the Israeli issue where they've got the anti-Semitic thing for the Labour Party.
Yep.
But then, so they can't be against Israel, but then they're tying themselves in knots over the Palestine issue.
Yep.
And
which is happening, by the way, with many left-leaning parties across Europe, as we saw this weekend.
Yeah. And then you've got the Rwanda thing, where you've got the bloke absolutely pinned down. On those 3 issues, the Labour Party have no policies whatsoever. They have absolutely no clue of what to do. And the thing is that the gentleman said, the Peter bloke said, he said, well, we can't send them to Rwanda because the migrants coming over on the boats, they have no historical links to those to Rwanda.
Yes.
Well, they have no historical links to the UK.
Well, and those that do, by the way, just to be really clear, those that do, there is the family scheme for applying for asylum through a legitimate method of entry with family links. Now, not many use
why
it.
Are they coming in boats?
Well, exactly. No, because absolutely, I totally agree with you. I mean, we're on the same page. What I'm saying is, your point is deliciously ironic, and I wish I'd picked it up, but I didn't do too bad in that interview, I thought. But basically, it's a really fair point about having no links and going to Rwanda. Well, you've got no links here.
And can I just briefly point on the Israeli the war at the moment? It's about Russia. It's about the Ukraine war. I think. Why are they doing it now? Why did Hamas do what they did now? It's because I think Iran is pulling the strings. So arms and the media and all the distractions.
Oh yeah, Putin's happy, isn't he? Putin's happy.
Yeah, the oil price is going up, so he's earning more money.
Yep.
So is Iran.
Yeah.
Everything points to Iran pulling the strings on Hamas to do this because then it draws attention away from Ukraine, which it has done, and it gives a breathing space for Putin. There's more to this than meets the eye.
Well, also don't forget, if I'll just throw in. Mark, just throw in, don't forget that Saudi Arabia was normalising relations with Israel until Hamas attacked.
Oh, yeah, that's the last thing they want. The last thing they want is Israel being brought into the Middle East.
Absolutely.
That's the last thing they want.
That is what Lionel in Leeds has done. Hello, Lionel.
Hello, Nick.
Welcome. What would you like to say, Lionel?
Well, I'd like to talk about anti-Semitism.
Yes, please.
I'm 87 years old. During the war, we had pieces thrown for the letterbox. That wasn't very nice. But my father sought the culprits out, confronted them, they backed off, and we never heard from them again.
And you're Jewish, Lionel, yes?
I'm Jewish, yes.
Okay.
At school, we had the same thing. An anti-Semite challenged me. I challenged him to a fight. And we had a fight with boxing gloves on, which I arranged with the teacher. He retired in the second round. At the end of the day, he was standing at the school gates and he said, "Can we be friends? I'd like to walk home with you," which we did.
Well, violence is not always the solution, and we wouldn't condone that, obviously, but isn't that fascinating that you built your relationship after that? After that,
yes. I went in the army. I had a guy a lot taller than me, a lot stronger than me. He was an anti-Semite. He challenged me, and I challenged him I said, you might beat the hell out of me. I said, but at the end of the day, you'll know I've been in the fight. And he backed off, did nothing, but he put coal in my bed.
And this was simply because you were Jewish?
Yep. This is what happened.
So what decade are we talking about here?
We're talking about 54.
54, OK. And you were doing national service in the army then?
Service, yeah. I swore allegiance to the Queen, which still stands to the King. I've got allegiance to this country, and although I'm 87, I will still fight for this country. And because I believe in it.
Well, it's really refreshing to hear. I think, you know, one thing that should bind us together, wherever we come from, however we came to this country, is actually a belief in the country you've either adopted or you were born in. Unfortunately, I don't think that's what's happened. But I suppose I'm slightly shocked, but it's because I wasn't an adult at the time. Less than 8 or 9 years after the Holocaust, you were just facing anti-Semitism in your day-to-day life.
I faced it in the Second World War. I mean, I was born in 1936. So when I was, 3.5, when the war started, and after that, then the anti-Semites came out of the woodwork. As I say, they put feces through a letterbox, but my father sorted it out, and everything was calmed after that.
OK, Lionel, listen, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts. That's much appreciated. I have just about got time to go to Sahida in London. Hello, Sahida.
Hello. Good afternoon, Mr. Nick. How are you?
I'm very well indeed. We've got about 3 minutes, so let's make the best of the time. What would you like to talk about?
First of all, I will say I don't know how to speak or anything. I'm ordinary people. What I'm looking and what happening, everything, it looks like we're all watching horror movies.
Oh, you mean in Gaza?
Gaza in Israel, yeah.
Yes.
Are you all watching horror movie? Who done good part? Who done the bad part? How can this will be stopped? Gaza kill, say, 1,400 people for revenge. What they have facing atrocity every day. Now Israel killing 11,000 innocent people. Now 11,000 innocent people. How they will get revenge? Where is it going to stop?
Well, you mean the continuing escalation of the violence is your worry?
That's very true. We are human beings. This blood is real blood. It's not a movie that red color going on or ketchup flowing off. This human beings' blood. Why can't we discipline Israel?
Sahida, there will be many people on the march who will agree with you, because there were many who were there who simply do not like the bloodshed and the scale of what is happening.
But instead of talking all these things, why can't we stop and discipline Israel? Listen, this type. Now, I have come from India. I had a multicultural society. My neighbor was Jews. When they had this function, something Saturday or something, we make hot milk and whatever. We help them, everything. That's how we're living harmoniously with our neighbor. But if you think my neighbor will come and occupy my house, do I sit down and watch? Tell me, what can I do?
But the problem is, isn't it, that if there was a ceasefire, it's going. I mean, lives would be saved during that period, but how many lives would be lost afterwards when the terrorist group Hamas reform? When they continue their commitment to wipe out the Jews from the river to the sea and that awful chant and beyond.
Yeah, what do you mean by river to the sea?
Well, it's deeply offensive, because it's basically
they want Palestine to be free. That's what they want.
Well, it doesn't. It's free of Jewish people. It means wipe out the Jewish people. Effectively, is what it is saying.
If they want to wipe out, why did they give the territory to Israel to live over there?
Well, now you're going back to the question of 1948 and the state of Israel.
I don't think they will have any problem if they both cities, country live harmoniously. I am very much sure both will help each other, and they will play live. The first of this land, money, and power. Whatever you got, be happy with that.
But the point is that from the river to the sea chant, as it is, strictly what that's saying is that they will take back the land by any means, from Israel, which you're referring to, why was it there in the first phase, and Palestine will be free of Israeli occupation. And the problem is that it's in the Hamas charter, and they make no hidden secret of that ambition. That is not a basis for peace, and it doesn't really matter anymore what happened in 1948 when Israel was founded. This is the here and now. This is the problem, and that's why the ceasefire will not really solve this problem. And I think you'll have more conflict, Sahida. That's my concern.
How can this conflict will be resolved? Completely wiping out this Palestine people?
No, I don't think it is, because I don't think there's an attempt to wipe out the people of Gaza at all. There is don't forget, part of the reason that many of these areas and we've seen hospitals damaged and so forth is because of the brutal approach of Hamas to actually use these areas.
But why did they came? Why this organization exists? Why did they come? Why?
So look, Hamas were voted in back in 2005 or 6, I think it was, and they are effectively the state authority there, and have this and have launched this terrorist horror on October the 7th. And by the way, they were lobbing various things over into Israel for many years and decades, and Israel thought that this was not credible, that this would not happen. I mean, Israel in some senses is guilty of not defending its citizens from this attack, and they cannot allow them to exist to do it again. I think that's the trouble, Sahida. Look, you prompted some very, very, very good thoughts, and the humanity in you is very clear, Sahida, and I know lots of people will share that. I think we've got Chris in Colchester. Hello, Chris.
Hi, Nick.
Hello.
All right.
Yeah, very good.
I think the reasons for a ceasefire is because this could escalate into hell on earth, basically. I mean, if Hezbollah just say, right, enough's enough, and start lobbing missiles, and there will be actual missiles, not like homemade rockets, into Israel or, into Gaza against the Israeli forces, then there's going to be a response from Israel. Then Iran is going to get involved. Russia and China are in the region. So is the US. So are we. This could escalate into...
And do you think that's if we have a ceasefire, if we don't have a ceasefire?
Well, no, if it continues, I think that could happen. But I can accept that Israel wants to get rid of Hamas, but can they not do something more surgical with some kind of special ops?
I think they've tried. I'm not an expert. I think they've tried all that, and the reason they're having to effectively ring in and close in, as they say they're doing, is because Hamas have civilians with them that they're keeping with them, not letting them move, in part protection. Now, that is the line. I don't know that, but that is the repeated line that's coming out. I guess that's part of the problem. I don't pretend to have the solution.
That's what Israel claims, and I think those claims need to be challenged. I mean, they've been investigated by human rights organisations, including Israeli ones, before, and there's never any evidence for it.
Well, we haven't been in this situation before, though, tragic. Well, fortunately, we haven't been in this situation before where such an attack is taking place. But that is, you're right, Chris. I don't know for certain. I just have to take words for that.
But, Israel have launched these kind of invasion in the past. But, like, with this thing with the river to the sea as well, it is calling for equal rights for Palestinians from the River Jordan to the Mediterranean.
I can't accept that. I can't accept that.
That is what, you could get Jewish people on that will tell you that would chant it themselves and would laugh to.
But it's not, Chris, it's a fair, look, I've no problem with you making the point, but it's not what is in the Hamas declaration. And I read that out earlier.
Oh, no, I know Hamas might have a different take on it. But look, what it's basically calling for a one-state solution from people, not Hamas,
don't adopt it. As it happens, I think a lot of people take the literal sense as per Hamas. But why adopt it? I mean, that's what I say to those people on the march. Why on earth would you adopt it?
Well, I think, the two-state solution is dead, as far as I'm concerned.
I hope not, but you could be right.
That's why people have called for a one-state solution with things, because, Piers Morgan the other day, what Yasser Arafat was offered in, and there was witnesses to this, was like basically these Bantustans of the West Bank all broken up. It wasn't what Israel claimed. And then there was a Saudi plan in 2002, which was even worse still for the Palestinians,
I think the closest we came was John Kerry in about 2014, and that was rejected by the Israelis, and I think that's a fair point to make. Let's go to Barry in Norwich. Hello, Barry.
Afternoon, Nick. Congratulations on tying that man up with knots. That was absolute comedy genius.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. That's great to hear.
I did enjoy it, yeah.
Good.
He's just a typical of the left. They don't like this country. They don't want this country having any control of its own business or borders. He wants to get back into the EU. He's just a puppet.
It's very interesting because I didn't tell him. I didn't give him advance notice I was going to be talking about Rwanda, but I do think that sometimes when you scratch the surface, the arguments do start to fall apart. But the problem is that party will scrap the Rwanda policy if they get into government, even if it's successful. It's illogical. Anyway, Barry, what would you like to talk about?
Yeah, but Suella Braverman.
Yes.
I think she's basically saying what the most of the country is saying, to be frank. Yeah. If I was to march down the street with a flag of St George saying some of the things that are being said at some of these marches, I'm sure I'd be arrested double quick.
This is the thing, and I remind people, and we said this yesterday, is she talked about a perception in the public. She didn't even accuse them of doing it. And as you heard Peter Foster there say, oh, well, it's the same thing as accusing it. Well, it isn't actually. And I think she's reflecting a legitimate point, that there is this perception, so it needs to be dealt with.
Yeah, it needs to be dealt with. It needs to be dealt with quickly. And I personally think that she'll probably lose her job in this week or so. Yeah, which will be quite...
I can't predict anymore, Barry. Would you put 20 quid on that?
Probably. Yeah.
Would you? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, yes, Rishi Sunak is weak, but he's got to show a bit of steel from somewhere, and I think this will probably be the one where, he's got to show the country that he's got at least a slight piece of backbone, hasn't he? That he is slightly in charge.
Well, yes, but on the other hand, here's a theory for you to take away. I wonder if he actually agrees with Suella, and that's his dilemma.
I probably think a lot of the government agree with what Suella and what they say in private. I think it's a shame that Suella Braverman, she's a good fighter, but she's got no boxing gloves on.
Oh, nicely put, Barry. Listen, that's a really nicely put.